Okay, folks, testing 1, 2, 3. So this is the video that I'm going to make and show you guys what I found online about my family, the information that I found about my family online. And I'm also going to show a couple screenshots of something that's kind of sensitive and mysterious, but I won't even say what that is at the beginning of this video either. So, but before I okay, let me not explain it. Okay, and if let me just go over here a minute. So, I went online the other day and I typed in my father's name, who died. My father. Now, when I say father on my channel, you've heard me talk about me looking for a biological father, Melvin Dobro. So that this is not the one I'm talking about. This is the father who adopted me since I was a baby. He's my dad. He's the one known as my dad, and I was his first daughter. Him and my mom got married in 1952. He went into the army for a year. When he came back, I was born in 57, and they adopted me in 1957. And then 2 years later, in 59, they adopted my little brother, Mitchell. And then by the time I was 5, they divorced. And then when I turned 8, my father remarried the person in this thing. So this is hilarious. Okay, so I wanted to just get the family tree online. And sometimes you type in someone's name, and then ancestry and info will come up and kind of show you kind of a beginning thing. But I wanted to see what it said. Hang on. I wanted to see, you know, what the update was, what it said about my dad and the family. Now, since the ChatGPTs have entered the picture, I'm getting all kind of stuff like where the LLM wants to, you know, it gives me questions to ask about them and everything. And before, like a couple of years back, you would just look up and you wouldn't get all this GPT help. Okay. So I'm going to reveal, you know, my real legal name. Not afraid to do it because I want to show you what happened. All right. And this is kind of sloppy, so I have to do this and then read it as I talk. All right. So Elvin Jewel Abels, that's my father's name, who adopted me. It says when he was born was a son of Louis Abels and Estelle. So Grandpa Lou and Grandma Stell, those were the grandparents in L.A. that me, and if my cousin is listening right now, this is what inspired me talking to her after all these years. Okay, and she was the one, her and her brother, you know, we all grew up together, so for the first few years of my life, this is Grandma and Grandpa, and they lived in L.A. by the L.A. County Jail and all that. And, you know, so that's how that was accurate. So he was born on April 13th, with my dad in California, and passed away May 30th, where he was buried at Mount Sinai Park and stuff like that. And, of course, I wasn't told about when he died or anything like that. So, effectively, I was ghosted by the family at that point, even though before that I was on the phone every week with the stepmother and my dad. You know, we made up since the past and everything. But it turned out that I guess they were putting on a show just to get me to talk and think everything was okay. That's what it looks like. But anyway, let me just get to the points that were funny. Okay, he married Ethel von Schulhoff, okay, on March 1952. That's accurate. They had children together. Those specific names are not publicly detailed in the provided records. So those children that they had together would be me and Mitchell, my brother. Okay, brothers and siblings include Bertram Abels, and that's my dad's brother, and it's his daughter who's the cousin I've been talking with. Okay, his father, Louis Abels, and mother, Estelle, are listed in multiple genealogical sources and indicating a family lineage rooted in California, a possible Eastern European Jewish thing. Okay, so, okay, and here's what this thing showed, this family tree. I'm going to show you a little interesting, and this is what I just got online for free. So here's Grandma Stell right here, and here's Papa Lou, we called him. But look at the picture. The photo of Grandpa Lou is the back of his head. When have you ever seen an official photo of the back of someone's head? That's Grandpa Lou. And I remember him just, we always went there on the weekends and stuff like that. He didn't talk much. But anyway, isn't that interesting? And here's the dad we're talking about. Elvin Jewel Abels. That's his graduation picture, okay? And what got me interested, because down here, there's all these blanks about his children. Okay, all right, so let me go on. Because I want to get to where the ChatGPT was wrong and how fucking hilarious it is. So it prompts me to ask this question: did Elvin Abels and Ethel Yvonne have any grandchildren? Is that the next one? I'm sorry, they're not in order. But anyway, the chatbot's offering me this question, and then it says, yes, Elvin Abels and Ethel Yvonne had 3 grandchildren. No, they didn't. They had one, which would be my son. No, wait, I'm sorry. No, they didn't. They didn't have 3 grandchildren. But listen to this. Elvin Abels was survived by his wife, Edith. Okay, that's a stepmother. Also referred to as Ethel. Okay, anyone who knows me watching this video, look how fucking hilarious the LLM got this wrong. And this paragraph is so telltale because, look, Elvin was survived by his wife, Edith, also referred to as Ethel. You know why that's funny? Because when my dad divorced Ethel, refused to talk to her after that, and then he marries Edith, right? These people never made up with each other as adults and never became friends, and it's very interesting because, you know, sometimes when you divorce your first wife, you marry a second, you know, you don't really resolve the problems you have. Well, anyway, it just, isn't it weird? Okay, so I think it's funny. Then it says daughter Wendy Eisenberg, son Matthew, and 3 grandchildren, as noted in the list. This makes it look like Elvin was survived by his wife Edith, who somehow the fucking AI confused them. Now the daughter Wendy and son Matthew, those are my father's first 2 children with Edith. Me and Mitchell came first, but this isn't saying that. This is saying Elvin was only survived by Edith and their kids. Okay, as noted in his obituary published in a Jewish journal. Now, the position my father had so anyway, that was the first hilarious discrepancy that is incorrect. Because Edith would, if she could see this, that she's referred to as Ethel, that wouldn't make her too happy. All right, so here's another one. What is the relationship between Elvin Abels and Ethel Yvonne Schulhoff, right? I kept asking, you know, let's see if I could get to the point and put me and my brother's name in there. Okay, Elvin Abels and Ethel Yvonne Schulhoff were married. They wed on March 19th in Los Angeles and remained married until Elvin's death in 2015. Wrong. No, they didn't, motherfucker. Ethel was also known as Edith in later records. So, my cousin, I hope you're looking at this. This is crazy. This is like wrong. Okay? Ethel and Elvin were married. They wed on March 1950. Yes, that part's right. And remained married. No, they didn't. They divorced in 1962. And here's the chat bot offering me to ask questions about my own family. So somehow this MFer system is, you know, scraping data from whatever. Okay, here's another one. Yes, Elvin Abels and Ethel Yvonne Schulhoff had 2 children together. I was trying to get to where they adopted me and Mitchell. Look, they lied again. Elvin Abels and Ethel Yvonne Schulhoff had 2 children together. Look, Wendy Eisenberg and Matthew Abels. Those are Edie's children. Edie gave birth to Wendy and Matthew when I was 11 and later on. Period. This is confirmed in Elvin Abels' obituary. So either they, you know, disown me and Mitchell, who died. My brother died in 2012. This is confirmed in Elvin Abels' obituary, which lists his survivors as his wife Edith Ethel, daughter Wendy, and son Matthew, and 3 grandchildren. Now, Wendy and Douglas do have 3 grandchildren. So either my father did this on purpose, which I think he might have done, in the will or whatever the fuck, or Edie and these guys came in after he died, because my father had dementia. He couldn't talk before he died. Anybody could have done anything over his head when he was in the care home. So this is confirming element. No mention yet of me and my brother as being the children. All right. Here's another area. Was the son of blah, blah, blah. He was married twice. First to Ethel Iman Schulhoff, also spelled Schulhoff in 1952, and later to Edith Abels. Well, I got that right. Although they didn't put her maiden name, which I believe is still Rubenstein. That name is left out. Okay. But I believe her maiden name is Rubenstein. Okay. He had at least 2 children. Wendy and Matthew. There it is again. No. It should say Stephanie and Mitchell are his first 2 children. Elvin was also the brother. Okay, got that right. He died on May 30th. He got that right. Got that right. His family history is documented in genealogical records, including the Worldwide Jewish Burial Registry. So these are his bloodline kids. So I wasn't wrong to... Okay, I was very, in most cases, well treated as the adopted daughter. I was treated just like family in a way. But it was, no. It was supposed to be a secret, but my mother blew the whistle when I was a little kid, so I always knew I was adopted. My father, Elvin, here, he wanted to keep the adoption secret. I'd never know. But I did find out. Either I figured it out or my mother blew the whistle a little bit by explaining to me, because they both took me to the building to adopt my brother. Said, we're going to get your new brother now. And there's a photo in my memory. I'm 2.5, and we go into this adoption agency, and I sit on this couch covered with plastic, and they hand me this little baby boy who sits on my lap, and then they take a picture of me smiling with him in my lap. So I knew that babies came from a building. I didn't see a pregnant mother. He died on May 30th in Los Angeles. Okay, so I got that one. I'm just trying to show you guys how the chat thing got it wrong and left me out. Okay. There is no evidence that Elvin Jewel Abels had a career in, I don't know where this came from, in politics or held in political office. I don't remember how that even was primarily known for his work in business and real estate. He was involved in the San Fernando Valley and associated with Abels and Company. So that data, I'd have to kind of look that up, but he did have real estate for a while, but it's not mentioning his earlier business, Abels Brothers and Associates. Nothing about that. But that was before he sold out to China. He told me that they sold their business to China, like to Walmart. That's my summary of it. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what he told me when I was visiting once. Did Elvin Jewel Abels, Ethel Abels adopt 2 children? Boom! I asked this. Look, there is no evidence that Elvin Jewel Abels and Ethel Abels adopted any children. There's no evidence. Well, I got paper evidence. So, sorry. And if I did not get that evidence in 1982, sitting over there on the paperwork, now I'm really, let me read this. Elvin Jewel Abels and here they said it again. I kept scrolling around to see if they would repeat the same mistake. Elvin and Ethel had 2 children, Wendy and Douglas. Oh, Edie would just turn over. Oh, look, Edie, it says that your children's mother was Ethel. These children are consistently listed as his biological offspring in genealogical obituary records. His biological offspring, but not Ethel's. So they should have had Edie's name in there. This is hilarious. Elvin was later married to Edith Abels, yes, and his 2015 obituary confirms he was survived by daughter Wendy, son Matthew, and 3 grandchildren. There is no mention of adoption in any blah, blah, blah. So this makes it sound like Elvin was later married to Edith, but he was survived by his daughter Wendy from allegedly this... What a fucking joke. So here I am watching ChatGPT get shit wrong about even, or, you know, the AI get everything wrong about my family. The available public records according to the list of genealogical databases. Okay. The available public records, including obituaries and genealogical databases, do not mention Stephanie Lynn Abels, me, born 1957, or Mitchell Franklin Abels, my brother, born 1959, as children of Elvin Jewel Abels and Ethel Yvonne Schulhoff. The only children consistently documented are Wendy and so any documentation anywhere in a digital database isn't there showing that me and Mitchell were adopted by Elvin and Ethel. I mean, I'm just showing you guys. Okay. Adoption records in California are typically sealed and not accessible without a court order, which may explain why such information is not publicly visible. Motherfuckers. It is possible that if Elvin and Ethel did adopt children, those adoptions are private and not reflected in public or online genealogical sources. Do you see what I mean? There's closed records. They're so fucking closed. And then if I could get somebody to drive me over there to Vista Del Mar right now to go down in their basement and get my records out of their files and ask these people what in the fuck were they doing in the 50s with babies. Okay. For definitive confirmation, official adoption records would need to be accessed through the California Department of Social Services, the Court of Adoption, or Reunion Registry. You know, all these shit you have to go through to get the truth about yourself. Okay, so I'm not done. Okay, so I looked all that up, and then when the Epstein files came out, this is what I didn't announce in the title. I hope you all are still listening because I'm going to show you it again. When and I'm not going to say how and why Wendy and Douglas and my father are connected to Washington and the government and all this and the elite people in the Jewish community. I'm not going to go into that. I just want to show you. Here he is again. This is my father. And the video that I made talking about the CP I found on a computer that he sent me back in 2000. And the other suspicious material, I never confronted him about it. Because if I would have never talked to him again. So I did the next best weaponized thing, which is silence and pretending like I didn't see it. Alright, so when the files came out and they gave you that website that you could, that you could go to, you know, look shit up, I decided to type in the name Abel. No, well, I typed in Wendy's name and her husband's name to see if they were in there. And then I typed in the name Abels. And let me look for the main one because I screenshotted this a couple different times. But this is it. So I looked up anything with my father's last name in it. So those of you following the Epstein thing, you know who Richard Kahn is. So here's an email from Richard Kahn to Jeffrey. And it's dated September 2016. So let me not detail it. Okay. So he said, Richard Kahn says to Jeffrey, is this sufficient or shall I obtain better photos with Abels? Please advise. Thank you. This image displays the text Richard Kahn above a black rectangle. It is not a chart. And let me show you the black rectangle. And it's about a place called Sanctuary Gardens. And this other person was involved. Wait a minute. Where's the... I'm trying to find the other one that shows the redacted picture. But here's them arranging to pick some. All right, here it is. Is this sufficient, or shall I obtain better photos with? I don't know what the equal sign means or able. Now, interesting that it has this name. There aren't too many of us around. Abel's is. It's a small letter, and I don't know what the equal sign stands for. And I can't even prove that this is anyone in our family. But the fact that my father sent me an old computer with a bunch of files with really nasty looking CP on it, that I only looked at one photo and I almost passed out. Why did he send me an old computer and he forgot to delete those files, or what? It looked terribly dangerous. And my father was always a photographer, and Lord knows, and maybe this is where I got amnesia, or who knows. But the photo that I saw on that computer that came from my father's attic, and Matthew might know more about it because he packaged it up. I'm just saying it online. I don't care what we do. Call them up and expect them to tell me anything. So I don't know what this means, you know. I have no proof. However, Richard Kahn is asking Jeffrey, is this sufficient, or shall I obtain better photos with Abel's? Please advise. Thank you, Richard Kahn. It's blacked out. Lord knows what's in there. Hi, Rich. Here are pictures of plants. And so the other part of the email is talking about plants in reposal and the sanctuary garden. I kind of started digging around and all that because it's about, allegedly, he's landscaping his Florida place or something like that. That's what it looks like. And it's called, the name of the photo has something to do with, and then I found another one where around that same time, this guy here, Jeffrey, would like you to pick up tomorrow in South Beach and bring her back to Jeffrey's house. Please pick her up from her hotel. Please send, so this looks like they're picking up one of his victims. This is what it looks like to me, and rendezvousing when to do that. And here's another printout. Because when I went in there and typed in a name, I went into that website 3 different times, to see if it would say the same thing, different times. Is this sufficient? Now here's a better copy. Is this sufficient, or shall I obtain better photos with Abel's? Please advise. Thank you. The image displays the text Richard Kahn above a black rectangle. Begin forwarded message. Anyway. Okay, so, yep, I just did that, and I just showed you all that. And that's basically what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you guys how, and, here's the sentence I wanted to find. Now, this guy is sending to Richard Kahn, hi, Rich, here are pictures of plants in reposal, which is what the title of the picture that was sent by Kahn, this one, also refers to plants in reposal. So, who knows what. And, after I looked at this, I said, man, this is so fucking complicated. And it does get, well, for those of you that don't know, because when Richard Kahn did his deposition, I watched some of it. This shit goes so slow, I can't even stand it. I mean, they could speed this whole investigation thing up. But they can say that, okay. And it just says, Indyke and Kahn helped keep the ships afloat in all of Epstein's business dealings. Indyke and Kahn were the money men from Epstein's sex trafficking ring. So, anyway, there you go. And you've seen how online my family position as an adopted person in that family was rubbed out of there. So I can see why, because, you know, that is how the Epstein class separates themselves from the rest of us. They take them offline, everything else. In a way, I'm kind of glad that like the other day I typed in my name, my real, you know, the name here I'm talking about, you know, just to see what's up. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find any old stuff on me. And back when the internet was fresh there, and I used to go type in my name, my stuff would come up on the first page of a photo of me in a radio interview with Bebop Robinson, you know, and then all this other shit I've done online. But now there's zero, nada. So it's harder to find me, which I think is great in the long run. However, this whole thing with the genealogy, you know, if I really had if I placed any importance on the facts being there, they're not there. Oh, I feel so left out. But the recourse, of course, is that the data confused the second wife with the first wife. So, yay. Okay, folks, I did it. Let's see what happens with that. And let's see what happens with that. Okay, thank you for watching.